What's up, everybody, and welcome to Tire Talk, a brand new F1 podcast from your two favorite McLaren fans. Football hasn't happened this weekend, so we're just going to talk about the fact that McLaren has regained the top spot in the Constructors' Championship Cup with a nice win by Oscar Piastri today, and a fourth-place finish from Lando Norris. I guess, unfortunately, we'll dive in. We'll talk a little footy, but we'll get into that. It is Sunday, September 15th. Welcome back to Tide Talk. We're here to discuss RIFC's 1-0 road loss to Orange County. So cozy up, crack a beer. I opted for a barley wine tonight, Ryan. That's how my fucking mood is.
I'm taking myself to Pound Town again. So thank you, Providence Brewing.
Let's dive into this one. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube. And if you're watching now, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to our channel, as it helps more people find Tide Talk. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we really appreciate it if you leave us a 5-star rating and a review, as again, it helps more people find us, more people enjoy our show. Misery loves company, and there's going to be a lot of that tonight. But you know, we'll do our best. If you're not already using the Club Collector app, make sure you go click the link in this episode description, enter the code Tide Talk, all one word, to get a special pack added to your collection today. Zach's killing it on that. I got to start copying his lineups. He came in third. Pretty wild. I almost said, like, you know what? I'm just going to copy his and go.
Well, his points per entry is outrageous.
It's insane. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by my good friend, Ryan. Ryan, you had a better morning than I did. How's everything else going? How's the rest of your day?
It was nice. We went to the little Hope Street Farmers Market thing. They did. It's like a festival on the street. It was a great time. Arsenal won. But I mean, it's really funny. There's been this conversation that some of us have been having of like, oh, with RIFC in your life, like, who's your number one team? Where does Arsenal fit? And I wasn't as excited about the North London Derby as I normally was because of what happened last night in Orange County. So
I get that. I understand that. I'm not really excited about either team right now. Hibs were my only team that won this weekend in Scotland.
I think it's funny. I think both teams actually have like very similar problems.
They do. We'll get to that. I'll Euro snob it a bit tonight when I compare the two of these teams. But you know, when Hibs wins on a Saturday, I guess it's usually an omen of bad things to come with the way that they've started the season as well. But I think tonight's conversation will be a little bit different than our normal match review, as I think the best way to kind of go through this is to dive into and look at some of the bigger picture issues going on with this team and kind of share our thoughts as to why we think that might be. But let's do what we always do and start with the starting 11, which was all over the place. Jackson Lee and net. Koke Vegas out for personal reasons. We do know his wife's pregnant. Hopefully her, the baby, and the family are all well and doing fine. That's all we can ask for at this point.
I think I saw a good Instagram story today, so it seemed like everything was okay. So
the back three of Stoneman, Yao, and Odarse. In front of them was Turnbull, Harival, Ibarra, Fusan, Dikwa, Jack P, Gabi Alves, all in this weird mishmatch of a shape. So interesting 11 to start with. A lot of big changes. Harival coming in, getting the armband right back. Clay not starting. What did we witness? Why did we see this start? Duggan looking like he's going to be out. So like there's a lot of question marks. And I think a lot of the question marks from this game start with that 11.
Yeah. So I think, so there was a couple that were like we didn't expect them, and there were some that we expected. So we knew that the left wing back position was going to be a potential change because Quizera has been out in international duty. Probably took like a direct flight from Rwanda area to or wherever he was playing his matches to California, which is no easy flight. He also played a couple of
USL teams are not chartering those, so on his own dime.
It was nice for us to send a breeze plane out there for him. But we knew that change was probably going to be one. The Koke one was completely out of the blue. The Duggan one was completely out of the blue. The Clay one, very, very out of the blue. And I think we did have some intel that JJ didn't look great after the match in Pittsburgh. He looked a little banged up there from a Tide Talk source down there afterwards. So, there's definitely some question marks, but I think we saw a lot more changes than I was even remotely expecting.
I'll say that last time we saw Clay on the bench and not in the starting 11, it ended up being an error and got corrected, and it was the wrong form filled out or something like that. I was hoping for that again. I was like, oh, maybe we did it again. But that was the most surprising one for me, just not seeing him out there.
And I think that was the most glaring issue too. We just had no punch from the midfield. We had none of his. I said it the last time, I think it was, but he's an exclamation mark player. He really puts his stamp on games, whether it's via tackles, whether it's kind of covering ground or those great shots. And I think this game needed a bit of that. It needed someone to kind of put a cape on and say, "I'm taking over this match." And we just really didn't see a lot of that.
Yeah, right on. We got Chuck in the chat who says I was at the game. It was actually cool seeing some RIFC jerseys throughout the stadium as they showed it on the broadcast. But hopefully those missed opportunities that we'll speak about in the coming minutes weren't as bad in person as they were on TV, because, man, they were bad on TV. And it was just highlighted by how many of them there were. We just kept knocking. We kept getting good opportunities and just could not convert. But, you mentioned, not having that player in the midfield, but, not having Clay create like that, we still got chances. And I think that was a big surprise to me.
Yeah, I think this is a tough game to talk about because obviously the final score is really frustrating. I think that feeling has compounded over the past few weeks and the past few months. Honestly, we've been playing a bit up and down. I think a bit below the level that we got accustomed to seeing over that great run that we were on. And it just seems like nothing can go right now. Even like a game that I think, if you looked at it on paper, if you looked at it after the match, I would say we were the better team. We obviously can talk about, we will talk about how it ended up being 1-0, but we had plenty of chances. And I think one big piece of criticism coming out of the Pittsburgh match was we just created absolutely nothing. It was just a dreadful match. We had no shots. We created nothing. We looked like we had no ability to break them down any sort of way. That wasn't the case tonight. Plenty of chances, plenty of shots. I think they were giving the goalie a lot of credit, which I thought he was okay, but I think our shots just were not well placed at all. They were very kind of minor saves he had to make. So yeah, overall, I think this team did enough to play fine. But one thing I said last night to some people is the problem with fine is there's margin for error. And when you give up an error like we're about to talk about that led to their goal, you then have to be great to overcome that. When if you're good or great to start, you usually will get, you are on a much better path to hit those 3 points. So I think a lot of the thing with this team is we need to keep the floor higher, and you can't do that when you're giving away cheap goals like we did last night.
That's pretty well said. Orange County was able to break the deadlock in the 31st minute. We'll take a look at that goal in a second. But, before that goal, it very easily could have been 2, if not 3-0 Rhode Island with the chances that fell to us. 8 total shots in the first half, 3 on target. And I think our better chances came in the first half. But we'll talk about mistakes and we'll look at that. And this is kind of the longer version of the clip of the goal. It starts way in the back, and you can kind of see the pace or lack thereof that this RIFC team is moving at compared to Orange County on the counter.
How about this on the right-hand side? Movement for Orange County. In front! Oh, they score! It looked like for a moment it was going to be some unselfish ball, but again, this time Orange County in heavy pursuit on the front foot. Jameson on the board. It's 1-0 for the home side.
Option initially, but snuck it inside Jackson Lee's near post, I think. So Bryce Jameson looked up and then decided just to smash it. Yeah, that's not great from Jackson Lee. We'll get another look at it here. This angle, see exactly where it beats him. No, it does beat him far post. Wow. That's a quality finish from Jameson.
Yeah, that's a bullet. And
so, like the announcers say, definitely that it is a quality finish going across the goal like that. Just a really good one. But there's a calamity of errors that kind of led to that and led to that, that easy of a shot to be taken. I mean, first off, Gabi's way out. He's caught out of position. Frank's nowhere to be closing down. Yao's nowhere to be closing down. I have Jackson Lee very low on the blame matter as far as this one. I know we talked about this.
We were doing like a power ranking earlier of like who power rank everybody who had issues on this goal.
But there were a lot of issues, and for me at first it's Gabi. And it sucks to say because Gabi's our special boy, but Gabi's way out. And I get it. We want to play forward. We want to play open, but like nowhere even in the picture.
Sure. I mean, he was high on my power rankings of who I was most disappointed with. My number one was very much Frank. Your left-sided center back cannot be all the way across the center back.
Like Yao even makes a great recovery run to cover for him. And,
Yep.
I think, sorry to cut you off, but like, I think the casual observer will see Yao coming in with a late slide there and kind of like, kind of come at Yao. But this has been a common theme that we've talked about with a lot of goals are scored in front of Karifa Yao, but a lot of those goals that are scored in front of him are him covering for Frank being way the fuck out of position.
I genuinely, and I've watched this goal a lot, and I still don't really know what Frank was doing. It's always hard when we talk about these games because we don't know what the players have been told. We don't know if they were like, Frank, man mark this guy no matter where he goes on the pitch, right? But I can't see that. Like it doesn't fit anything we've seen as of late. And at the same time, if that is the case, Yao being the center back does need to communicate, and they need to talk to each other of like, hey, cover me on the left, I'm coming center. I do think Gabby is caught up field, but I think he thought we were breaking a bit. I would like to see him tuck in there. If he's
up as a wing back, he should feel comfortable that he's going to have enough cover there with a back three, right?
That's the thing. It's almost like the Patriots gave up a terrible touchdown today because the cornerback thought there was a safety behind him. If you think there's a safety behind you, you're not going to worry about sticking in your spot. But yeah, you look at that ball and it's like there's not a single Rhode Island FC player in the picture on the left side of the pitch. The midfield, everyone is pressed super tight up to that where the ball is, and it's one of the easier goals that one of the easier chances they'll get. I have to give him a lot of credit. That shot is not easy. I think Yao made a really good recovery run, and he really placed that perfectly where Jackson had a really tough stop to make. So,
right. Justin asked in the chat, should that have been a stop? I think if Jackson makes a stop on that, we're looking at potentially save of the week. I think if you go back and really watch that he went far post on it, that's just a really, really good finish. And he had that good finish because of the time he was allotted on the ball to slot that one home.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like you said, going back post there, kind of almost putting it in that like very small space that you have between the goalie's glove and the post. I have to give him a lot of credit. And it was hit with a lot of power too. It wasn't like some super finesse shot either. So yeah, obviously you'd love it if Jackson made that save. It would be great, but I can't. There's a lot more people on my power rankings to blame than Jackson.
Having played keeper myself, having coached, like I always look at the goalie as probably the last one you want to blame, especially on a really good finish like that, and one where there was a lot of players hauling ass to kind of get back in position and chasing things down. But first half stats, we go down at the break 1-0, obviously the final as well, but 52% possession for Orange County to 48 for Rhode Island. Outshot them 8-6 with 3 on target, 1 big chance each, 1 big chance missed each. 250 passes at 87% for Orange County to 221 at 85 for RIFC. 6 fouls apiece, 2 corners to 1. When we look at this RIFC team in an attacking sense, I think we are attacking better when we're winning more corners. Usually we like to see like 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So the 2 corners is always a telltale sign for me that, we're not getting the ball in and around the box too much. And, we did have the chances, but, they were, like you mentioned, pinged right at the goalie for most of them. But a lot of those, I think, more so at the goalie came in the second half. Just chances we have to convert. We have to, finish. I'm going to throw out a hot take right now, and I know it's a pretty unpopular opinion, but I think since Jack P has returned to this lineup, this team is playing a little bit differently. I think we learned to play without Jack P, and I know when it got announced that he was returning, I said in our group chat with all of the Tide Talk contributors that it wasn't a big issue for me. I wasn't as excited as some of you guys, I guess. I think Matt Hans mentioned it when I brought it up today that, Noah really kind of solidified himself as the 10 in the absence of Jack P. Marky Barra really solidified himself as the free kick taker. Now that Jack P's come back in, players get dropped, player gets rotated. And I'm not saying Jack P's a bad player by this. I'm just saying that the timing, the fit, the psyche of it all, I think maybe playing some roles. Obviously, players have to get dropped. It affects confidence. The fan base widely kind of view this as the savior's returning. And, there's other problems with this team. And this team was clicking and playing well. So to change an informed side is always going to be difficult. Obviously, it shows the trust that Kano has in him. But, we got 2 goals in just the 3 games since his return, with those 2 coming against Birmingham, who's a really bad side, and we kind of have their number, I think, with
Oh, are they? I can't tell if they're bad.
Yeah,
Tampa. It's all the Eastern Conference is an absolute mess.
I guess I'll say a really bad matchup for this
Yeah,
team,
I
right?
think we've
Sure.
looked very good in both the games against Birmingham.
But I think I think that, and he only played 60 minutes that game. Obviously, he had the really good chance when he first stepped on, but it wasn't a really, it wasn't him that led to that 2-0 win. There were other players who really stepped up in that one. But I think Jack P reintegrating has kind of caused some problems elsewhere, and it's kind of why it's kind of unbalanced, this attack.
Yeah, I mean, I think you made a lot of really good points there. Number one is the team learned to play without him. We went on that great run, with Noah playing at that number 10. And I think the big issue with Jack is he's come back and he hasn't lit it up. It's not like he's been playing well, but we're losing, or he's had moments. Like, he's only really had a couple moments. And obviously, to be clear, guys, this is all very small sample size.
Sure,
it's 3 matches.
And
but
reiterate,
also,
I'm not saying like
yes,
Jack P sucks. Like, cut him up. Like, I'm just saying I think that it's changed the way that we've played, and it's had a negative impact on our attack.
But one thing
I know there
missing,
are other. Go ahead.
Yeah, and one thing I think that's missing though is Jack P, he looked really good when he first came, and I think he was on the ball a lot more and creating a lot more chances.
Right.
The thing that happens, he gets recalled and then doesn't play. So he's a little bit out of form. He's a little rusty. And I don't know that we're seeing the same type of player that we saw earlier in the season, because he hasn't really been getting chances up with the Revs. He's just been training mostly. So hard for a player to also hit the ground running when they're just rusty, don't have that confidence, don't have that form either.
Right on. To start the second half, as things got going, we did see one sub in the 59th. Quizera comes on for Gabi. Quizera looked on tired legs to me.
I could not believe he played.
Right. Like, I was shocked. And then we saw a slew of subs, and it was almost like, let's try sticking stuff to the wall and, see what goes. Brito comes on for Fuzan. JJ comes on for Chico. Clay comes on for Stoneman. Doyle comes on for Haraval. I thought Haraval was very good. I thought Haraval, stepping back into the 11 and being that one controlling or calming presence we had in the midfield, thought he was very well. But a lot of the chances that we generated this half were, I think, half chances at best.
Yep.
I read in the Defiant 1636 Discord that I forget who said it, and I'm sorry for not pulling it up, but it's almost like we want to have so much of the ball and look for the perfect opportunity, the perfect chance to score, that we either hit a half chance or we turn the ball over, rather than take some more opportunistic shots, take some more opportunistic chances. And obviously with Clay on the pitch, you hope to see that. But so much possession, it's almost like we're looking for that perfect shot, and when it doesn't come, it's just, I'm going to shoot it anyway. And right at the keeper, I think, would be the line to describe the majority of the shots that we saw throughout this one.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think, especially in the kind of 2 parts of the season, like the beginning and now this stretch that we're on, it just feels like nothing is easy. Everything feels like it's an extreme amount of work to even get the ball into a position to shoot, and then half the time it's blocked, or half the time it's at the keeper, or it's not on target. And it just seems like the team just doesn't have a plan B, a plan C when things aren't going their way. I mean, I also, just to go through those subs you just mentioned. So Gabi for Quizera, that made sense. I don't think it was Gabi's best night, but again, I was absolutely shocked to see Quizera out there. Brito for Noah, and JJ for Chico. That one, like for like, I really didn't like the Noah sub. And people are going to come at me. I am definitely but I thought.
Oh, Ryan, I got you breaking up, so I'm gonna actually just pause it for 1 sec. Hang on, we got a little technical difficulties with Ryan. Want to make sure we got him back. Looks like he's still frozen on us. Working on getting him back.
Was our
so Ryan will be resetting. He says, Matt Hand says in the chat, we all know who is running interference. I don't know, Matt. We lost a subscriber before going on air. I would be willing to bet that it was that one person. But we'll get him. We'll get Ryan back in a second. But you know, like he was saying, the subs being like for like, obviously we want to hope to see. But the Noah one is where we want to get Ryan in, because we know Ryan loves Noah more than anyone. But hopefully we can get it back. So I'm actually going to put that pause screen back up and hang tight, grab another beer if you need it. When Ryan re-enters the studio, we'll get him back on. All right, those of you who stuck with us throughout it all, our technical difficulties, Ryan, you were back on the last we heard. You know, we were talking about the subs, we were talking about a few like for likes, and then we heard the Decepticons roll in and really kind of mess things up. We all know who was behind it. We were having a good laugh in the chat, but you were voicing your opinion as to why the Noah sub upset you the most of all of them.
Well, if that doesn't describe this match perfectly, that's it. I actually thought it would be a nice little nod to the original RIFC Nation for you just to go for this one on your own.
I didn't even have it in me anymore. and then Matt Hands got me in the chat with, you know where that came from, and I absolutely lost it. So
let's see. Oh yeah, so I was a little upset that it was Burrito for Noah and not Burrito for Jack. So comparing Jack and Noah's performances so Noah obviously only threw 70 minutes, Jack was through 90. Noah had 5 key passes, 4 for Jack. Noah was 2 for 3 on crosses, Jack was 1 for 7. Noah had 1 big chance created, Jack had 0. Noah 3 of 7 for duels 1, Jack 0 of 6. Possession loss, Noah 15, Jack 20. So I just thought Noah, had the better game. I thought he looked the most dangerous. I know people were pretty upset with he had that kind of one big opportunity where he didn't shoot it quickly enough, but overall, I thought if anyone was going to create something this match, it was going to come from Noah.
No, I agree. Even Herval, the way he played, getting on the ball, like that's as far as.
So Herval, I do wonder if that was more of a just a fitness thing.
I think
is coming back from that fracture, because I can't imagine that, especially after giving him the armband that kind of wanted to take him off.
That's what I thought as well.
The thing that bothered me about these subs probably the most, though, was how late Clay came in the game. I tweeted at halftime, like, I think Clay and JJ should be on right now. I can't believe, number one, how long these subs took to make, but I'm not sure if something was going on with Clay that we don't know about, or if he's hurt, or if it was a rotation or what. But this game was screaming for him, and the fact that he came in so late. I mean, I saw one of I think it was SofaScore, gave him like a 7.5 in 14 minutes. Like, he came in and was like, screw this, I'm trying to win this game. Yeah, or tie this game at this point. So,
all right. Final stats for this one: 50% possession split on this one. It was 10 total shots for Orange County to 18 for RIFC. 3 shots on target to 6 for RIFC. 1 big chance each. 1 big chance each missed. 446 at 86% for Orange County for accurate passing to 432 also at 86%. RIFC. 12 fouls committed. Orange County 13 for Rhode Island. 4 corners apiece. Going to take it to the socials. We had Dookie Maine on Twitter with good.
That guy cracked me up last week.
Great stuff all the time from Colin Clary. Good, high-quality, free-flowing play leading to great chances. I think we can agree on that. The play that led to chances was solid, was good. We were able to generate quite a few good chances, and you'll see that throughout other people's takes. Bad, couldn't kick it anywhere except straight at the keeper. Yep. Ugly, the lapses in concentration and positional awareness for the defense leading to too many quality chances for OC to score. Thank you for writing in Dookie Maine, and he's back on his 3 words with chances galore squandered. I like that one. That's that's definitely in the running for episode title for me. William Lamb, who's in the chat from Sacramento, has got where's the intensity? I don't think it was a lack of intensity. I think the intensity was there throughout this one, but I do, the lack of finishing, I guess, if you will, would be the main sticking point for me. And then we had, let's see, Susan in RIFC Nation wrote 21 is focus. And that's all we had we didn't have any good, bad, or ugly there. Scott's bald head on Instagram wrote, are we cooked? We might be cooked. This is, we'll talk about this. I have a question that I want to ask you after your slide presentation and after we get through all of the socials as far as what you think this team's form might mean for the bigger picture. But we've also got a lot of responses in the Defiant 1636 Discord. Our guy Leo O always writes in good stuff. Good, shots on goal reappeared. That was definitely good to see. Bad, allowing another goal in transition when the left side is completely empty. Not to mention Stone's Phoenix Rising beat us at home mostly because of the counter and a hot keeper. Very good point. Recall there, Leo, if I remember correctly. Odd gaps in shape happened again, but in different ways from last week. Ugly, constant back passing under pressure, especially when trying to move the ball down the wings. Severely decreases margin for error when your center backs are near midfield and not the fastest guys on the pitch. And Leo's RIFC in 3 was adventurously empty-handed. I like that one too. That's another really good one. Jim wrote, good, Chico getting good chances. Bad, lack of chemistry in midfield, especially this late in the season. Ugly, Orange County creamsicle kits. Ryan, we talked about this. You love orange. I love orange. I like the kit.
I thought those kits were fire.
I thought it was fire. Seeing the orange smoke was also pretty cool. Just because the color orange I like. I wish we did not see the orange smoke, which they had not scored. But I thought the kits were fire. And you learned a little tidbit before the match about them. So you care to share that?
Yes. So apparently Orange County FC or SC have 1,500 owners. I didn't look much deeper than this, but apparently they have 1,500 owners, and that is all of their names on the kit. So it's their 4th kit. It's
pretty cool.
It's called the Owner's Kit. Pretty cool. And then I guess there's also some fun fact, some fun names in there if you look along. So yeah, I thought those were sweet. So disagree. I can't remember the person's name, but thank you for writing in though.
Jim also wrote RIFC in 3 keepers, great saves. Taris wrote in RIFC in 3, another opportunity squandered. Tyler wrote, good, back home next week, always is good, except that Ryan won't be there because American football is taking precedent. Bad recent form, ugly 3 points above Shartford, 3-word review, figure it out. Matt Hands wrote, good, created chances, bad, can't finish, ugly, back-to-back losses. His RIFC in 3 was now or never. So thank you to everyone who wrote in. If you like to write in, you can follow us on our socials, or if you're in the Defiant 1636 Discord, you can go to the Tie Talk channel and share your thoughts post-match on all of our RIFC 3 and good, bad, and ugly. Hopefully more good, better, best with games to come up. But,
I know we changed the whole format and everything. We were all ready to go.
We were good. We had it all ready.
What a summer. What a nice summer we had.
It was. Kevin's got poop shit poop. I like that one too. That is good. But he also agrees with us that the The kits were dope.
I can't tell if he's just talking in three, so that we keep calling him out, or if he's hacking like the system here, just be on the show more.
Right. And Timmy said he doesn't know about that kit, but this mother effer is spitting facts on Jack P versus Noah. So Timmy appreciates it. All right. So it is time. It's time for slides. It'll be the one positive, I guess, we have tonight. So
we'll
Ryan,
see.
Take it away, my friend. I might leave and block out my internet for a bit.
All right, cool. So everybody, I know that we are all feeling a little bit down. We're kind of here for a little group therapy session. Comments are great. Comments are funny. But we're going to dive into it. We're going to get through this together, folks. So tonight's presentation is called, So How Bad Is It? So basically, this is every result so far of RIFC season. And you will see via the lovely color coding that just exists in the footballing world that there's been some clear kind of distinct phases of the season so far. So the first one, I call it the lost to shore phase. We were a new team.
Nautical teams, Ryan.
Oh, I did it. We were a new team. We had a lot of tough issues with chemistry. We you'll see had that one win in Vegas, but a lot of draws, which really led us on this path to the Draw Kings title if we can get a draw ever again. And then a bunch of losses sprinkled in. So I was going to add a ton more key stats per match here. I totally ran out of time, but you'll see during this phase, we were scoring a little bit less than a goal a game, and we were giving up about a goal and a half. So this led to about 0.87 points per match. Obviously, that is very, very not good. That'll lead you into the mid 30s in a full season, which we know would be far and away from the playoffs. So next up, we had the changing tides phase. I have done 800 presentations on this phase. If you don't know where we stand, please go back to basically any of our live shows, any of the beautiful run over the summer, and you can, or just ask me and I will send you some clips of the changing of tides of CONMEBOL. But as you'll see, there's a ton of green on this slide and a little bit of gray. But we were undefeated for a bit. It was a beautiful summer. Key stats here: we were scoring almost 3 goals per game, and need I remind you that we were scoring less than a goal a game into this phase. We were giving up about 1.5 goals against, so a little bit more, or maybe around the same that we previously were doing. But obviously, this led to about 2.25 points per match. This is absolutely outstanding pace. This is the type of pace that puts you in really the supporter shield conversation, rather than are you going to make the playoffs or are you going to be mid-table? So this was absolutely incredible. I think this phase of the season gave us a ton of hope, gave us a lot of great memories, and also I think put a lot of confidence in all of our minds about this team and kind of the progress they were building.
Gave us faith. But now we're in the choppy seas phase. It's been a little bit rough. There's been some highs, there's been some lows. There's we have 3 losses here, 2 draws, and 2 wins during the choppy seas, and we're back to a really kind of weird stat line here. We're at less than a goal per game scored, but less than a goal against. We're playing a lot of just nothing matches here. There's been a couple good ones in here. We did those 2 wins were the Hartford and the Birmingham wins, which honestly are weirdly inflating these numbers in here. The rest has just been kind of us having a lot of us being shut out or some 0-0 tie draws. So really tough. We're back to this like right around 1 point per match pace, which again, like absolutely does not get it done. That puts you about almost where we are currently with 8 games to go in points for an entire season. So obviously we're in this new phase, and I was trying to look at like what has changed over from this beautiful changing tides phase where we were just cruising along the waves, and it was red skies at night, sailor delight, back to where we are today. So the first thing that started to happen is we are underperforming our XG pretty badly. So throughout the season, we were kind of this lost to shore phase. We were pretty tight to our expected goals, which is this 0 line here. You'll see that ups and downs, but that is really how a lot of the draws came about. Then the change in tides phase, we went hot. All of a sudden, every ball we kicked, we put into the net, and we were way, way, way better compared to the expected goals. And now this choppy seas phase, it's really been up and down. Again, these 2 kind of high points are the Hartford and the Birmingham matches. But you'll see, like last night and things like that, we have been just really, really underperforming. So I think I was looking it up on a per player basis, but there is not a player on RIFC who plays like consistent minutes really that is above his expected, who actually averages even close to their expected goals
this season. The only person who's way over is Harabow because he had that absolutely super hot phase, which is right in here. So pretty tough, especially like Chico. I think he's 3 goals off where we expect him to be. JJ's off by about 2. Doyle's off by about 2. So, you know, accumulatively, tough one. Accumulatively, that was, you know, really tough for the team. Next up, Route 1 to JJ has been closed off. I know there's been a ton of conversation about what does JJ bring to this team. You know, is he a net positive? Is he a negative? Should Doyle be playing? Things like that. This isn't really going to address that in particular, but as you'll see, when JJ got introduced after it was actually during the Sacramento match. I think he got like 9 minutes. You'll see here, like, he was an ever present during the changing tides portion of the season, and he's been really injured for this choppy seas. So we're at 1.21 points per match when JJ plays less than 60 minutes or doesn't play, and we're at 1.58 points per match when JJ plays above 60 minutes here. So I think when he is able to play and to enforce himself, and I think even in this choppy seas phase when he's played, he hasn't looked like himself. He has seemed to be carrying something. So I think, you know, he was always something we thought would help solve some of the problems of this team. And I think we saw that over the summer when we started to pick up momentum. And finally, as you'll see, I completely started running out of time. So this slide is no graphs, no beautiful stuff. But we got really, really hot from set pieces during that changing tides phase. We did have 4 goals for during that. We were way over our expected goals for during those 8 games. We're back now to kind of meeting the expected goals. And the other tough thing here, we have 3 goals for in the 7 games, which looks great, but 2 of them were in 1 match. So we just have really lost the ability to kind of impose ourselves on set pieces and get some goals that way, because that really brought us through a couple matches. It got us the draw against Indy over the summer. We also had another match where I think we had 2 goals, 2 corner goals in the same match. So it's a really, as you saw this morning, is a great way to pull out games that you might not be able to be breaking teams down through the regular run of play here. So I'm sure there's a lot more. I only had this afternoon to dive into this, but I do think there's some kind of key issues and key concerns about this team. And I think a little bit is that they've lost consistency. I think there's been people kind of in and out of the lineup, and we had a style of play that was really working well for us over the summer, and we've lost the kind of ability to impose that style of play on our opponents. So I think we do need to get back to some kind of plan B, some kind of plan C, so that we can solve problems in matches when maybe plan A or B isn't working.
Very well done with the slides, as always. Matt Hans puts in the chat, I don't think we need Route 1 to JJ as much anymore. And I push back on that one. And I think, you know, what we've seen a lot, like you mentioned with the Route 1, you know, being cut off is the injury. It's him not starting, him coming off the bench, obviously him not being at his full potential. But we were seeing so much, you know, and not just goals from him, but like we were seeing so many more players be pulled into the action. I think JJ in the holdup is really what unlocked Noah during that stretch. And,
100%.
You know, when Jack P was recalled, why Noah was so pivotal to help this team scoring goals. But I do think we need JJ back. I think we need Route 1 to JJ back open.
It like unsettles your opponent, because if they have to now start to consider that, it's one more thing they have to worry about. If all they have to do is like, hey, we set to kind of block off the crosses to the wings or just fight those, then it's
know where Chico is,
game.
and that's it. You look at those aerial passes and challenges with JJ, it's often 2 players that are marking him on those. So it usually frees somebody else up on the back, and I think Noah was a big recipient of that. And you know, you just need him to help you get that numerical advantage and tactical advantage on those long balls. And I think that's the piece that people miss with JJ and that whole, you know,
I think
whether it helps or not.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know why I'm going back to like American football so much today, but it's like when Vince Wilfork was at his like peak and you needed 2 guys to block him, or Aaron Donald or something. Like, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet that he got blocked by 2 guys, but his partner who got 2 extra sacks that day because he was occupying 2 to 3 more people. It's same thing with JJ, right? If 2 guys have to go up for a header with him because he's occupying that much space, it means we're definitely going to have one person who is free. And I think not just Noah, but I think the Quizera and Turnbull also really benefited a ton on that. And they could really cheat up and be aggressive and kind of hunt in those packs like we talked about. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough because the solve for that is JJ gets healthy, and that's not something you can just magically guarantee and magically snap your fingers and change. So, like I said, I do think the team needs to develop some sort of other ways and other ideas on how that we think we can accomplish a like consistent version of scoring.
No, right on. Matt says it's a good option to have, but I think we've been progressing the ball well without it. And I don't dispute that. I think we've been progressing the ball well without it, but I think the XG speaks for itself. The XG is much higher when he was at full threat and helping unlock a lot of those defenses.
Yeah, and I need to go back and look this up. I have like a half filled out data book here, but the thing that happened too during that hot run was we were just generating a ton of like big chances, not just like half chances, which
The quality
I think last
of the
night.
chance.
Yeah, I think last night was a ton of like half chances in the box where there was only the one clear cut one. And during that hot run, we were generating 3, 4, 5 per match. And that's how you're going to win, especially with a team that might not be finishing above their XG a ton. The only way to get better at that is to just to create a higher volume of chances. There's kind of two ways, right? I mentioned it earlier, but you raise your floor, which is like what is the worst case outcome, and that is by not making the defensive errors, which I think again during the summer we did a really good job of not gifting people goals. And then raising your ceiling means you're just creating more and more and more chances so that you can get more goals. You have a better chance of doing so.
No, right on. Our last live show ahead of the Pittsburgh match at Providence, we did our playoff predictions.
I don't want to talk about that.
We are looking really bad. We are 0 for 2. I know we're both 0 for 2 on it so far. So was the crowd. So the crowd who was at Providence Brewing also needs to get their prediction. Kevin was on with us too, and we're not holding strong to Kevin's either. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches to go, right? And I think it's a case of obviously injuries are playing a big role in this current run of form. Some people might tell you no, it's not, and JJ doesn't do that much for us, but I wholeheartedly disagree with them. But is this a case of this team peaked at the wrong time? And are we, just kind of on the downward spiral to end our season? Or do you think things are still a little bit more salvageable?
Oh, I mean, I think it's salvageable. The thing with form and the thing with, getting hot is it can happen at any time, right? Like You can have multiple times in a season. You don't just get to pick one. And as like a new team, I think that kind of ramp up we saw was a bit expected with how in the beginning of the season it was clearly a talented group of players that had an idea of playing. They just were not executing to their collective level. And I think over the summer we saw a team who was maybe playing a bit above their level, but they were playing at a high level, which we all had expected coming into the season. So, yeah, I mean, I think I don't know how to say this any differently, but like, it's gonna all depend on the team and how they play and how they solve the problems. I think that's what bothered me so much in the Pittsburgh match was Pittsburgh was presenting us a clear problem to try to solve, and we just had nothing to do that. So I think both the leadership group of the team as well as the coaches and assistant coaches just need to get together, look at film, look at data, look at whatever they have available to them and say, these are, the clear issues that were in the clear problems we're constantly being faced with. I think similar to Spurs this morning, a low block, which is very hard to play against, right? That is the reason why teams do it, but we have struggled with that the entire season. I don't know that we've created a single real goal out of like open play against the low block. So there's easy ways that I can see on paper to stifle Rhode Island FC. And I think we need to start coming up with at least ideas on how we could solve that in these last 6 games and hopefully more games after that.
Yeah. And I think that we're going to see it. We're going to see it a lot in these remaining 6 games as well. You look at our next opponent in FC Tulsa, who currently sits 9th in the West on 31 points with a negative 12 goal differential. But if you go to their last 5 matches, they lost to Louisville 1-0. They drew versus Las Vegas 1-1. They lost to Phoenix Rising 1-0. They got dismantled by Colorado 4-1. But then beat Detroit 1-0. So a lot of 1-0s, a lot of 1-1s, a lot of 1-goal games in there with that Tulsa team. And I think we're going to see that low block because, it's kind of what they're playing. It's what's stifling Rhode Island at the moment. And this one intrigues me because it's looking like it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a great atmosphere. We know.
Stop rubbing it in. Stop rubbing it in.
Sorry, no, not even that. Not even that. But the way we've been playing versus this low block, and kind of why I brought up the Jack P point earlier was I think a lot of people thought when he came in, he was the locksmith. He was going to pick those low blocks and get us
someone
in.
definitely didn't write that on Tide Talk's website.
Definitely. Yeah, so just I'm on you for wearing that fucking shirt right now. That's all. But you know, it has not been the answer, and I don't know.
I totally agree.
I don't know how we can figure it out and get to it, but there's got to be some kind of change to help better attack these low blocks.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that got lost in last night that I thought was an interesting idea is it seemed like instead of having 2 strikers and a attacking midfielder, we played it with Chico up top and then 2 attacking midfielders. So one thing I thought that made Noah so dangerous in that first half, especially, was he was collecting the ball a lot off the straight up from the center backs, just breaking lines and to him. And I think that was super effective. So if we can find ways to, give him a bit more of that free role, I also wouldn't hate going back to, hey, if JJ is healthy, let's just throw Noah back at the 10 and, go back to what was working, try that. Right. If it doesn't work, then go from there. There should, I hope, are a lot of ideas within the team right now of how we can play a bit differently, a bit better. And I think there's plenty of things to tinker with. Unfortunately, you don't really want to be doing that with 6 matches to go, but the time is, it's needed right now. So we have to try something different because right now it's not working the way that we're playing.
Hopefully early on in the season, we were playing, I think, a little bit better on the road. And I think in our hot stretch, we got more comfortable at home. So hopefully the return to home can kind of fix things and right the ships, if you will, for this team. But there's going to have to be some change. Obviously, JJ is going to have to get healthy, at least in my opinion. And we're going to have to see some guys step up and really kind of, solidify their spot and do things that keep them on the pitch, with a couple of the midfielders getting more healthy at least. But a tough watch, a late watch. I had a brutal day yesterday, so I caught the first half live and watched the second half this morning. But staying up late for that is always tough. Obviously, the biological clock for the players in getting there, cross country and the legs obviously will take an effect on them. I think at the brewery, I predicted this one as a 1-1 draw, but I looked at it as kind of a trap, just being cross country, them not being in good form. But heavy rotation has not worked for us when we've done it. We saw it in the Indy 11 match, and I guess if we keep playing like this, I can take away my statement that the Indy 11 match is what dropped us from a home playoff spot.
I think we might be going from that. Yeah.
I think we continue to play ourselves out of that. Obviously, salvageable was brought up again in the chat by Coach Almeida, and obviously, I still think we're a playoff team, but it's going to be where we slide, where we fall. I don't want to see Charleston, in the first round. I'd like to stay away from Louisville, although I do think there's a little bit of mental gamesmanship there that could help us, just with having the number. I know, people talk about it, but mentality is a big thing in sports. I wouldn't put money on us to win that one, but I do see we got you a couple times already, kind of playing in our favor. But we got to right the ships quick to get a better playoff seed and better spot and a better matchup, because I think there are some winnable, middle of the pack matchups in there for the playoffs.
Absolutely. What's funny about Charleston? I'm really looking forward to that match because they, on paper and the way they play, is actually like a really good matchup for the way that we had success playing, like low possession, hitting you on the counter, hitting you on that long ball. So I'm really intrigued to see how that game goes. I think I called it a draw in our playoff prediction thing, but I think that one's going to be interesting. But yeah, the middle of the pack and the bottom of the Eastern Conference is an absolute wild thing to follow. I wrote it in like the newsletter, but it's the parody that Roger Goodell would dream of in the NFL. Like, it's just every match, like, you have no idea what's going to happen. One week I'm like, Birmingham stinks. Next week they're beating Tampa. Like, one week I'm saying Detroit is like terrible. Next week they win. It's just like every team, you don't know what you're going to get. And unfortunately, we are a bit of that right now as well. So, hopefully we can batten down the hatches and figure it out and steal our way through this this final run, because I think this team is more talented and a better team than most of these other teams that we're kind of in this pack with. And I do think if we can, like you said, kind of get hot, regain our form, we could be a really brutal out in the playoffs for some of these bigger teams.
Like Kevin says in the chat, USL is like a box of chocolates. you never know what you're gonna get. So hopefully we can write it. But the chat is just absolutely awesome today. Just love. I always love. I can tell when Ryan's reading it and just starts gigging it. Just starts giggling. Catch him out. But I think that'll kind of wrap things up for this one. Any final thoughts you want to get out there, Ryan?
Oh, you didn't want to do another hour on this game?
Oh no, please no.
We're gonna go long.
It's like melding in with the Pittsburgh game too. So it's just.
Yeah, I mean, my final thought here is Kano said at one point, like, good teams don't lose 2 in a row. And this is the first time we have lost 2 in a row. So I hope there's like a big kind of wake up call at Bryant this week, and we get a big response on Saturday because there's something needs to change. This team needs to, shake off whatever's going on with them right now in front of the net and really break out and score some goals. And a couple goals at home and while playing some very solid defense could go a long way here. So,
right. Our guy Nateski says we get a chance to at home to shake the losses. First time wearing the home on the road. It did not play off good. So we'll chalk it up to the fact that we weren't.
I mean, I like the yellow kit better, so I get why they might have been a little bit down. Yeah.
But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Be on the lookout for the blogs. They'll be coming out in the next 24 hours, recapping that. It is cathartic to read them after this one. Hopefully it helps you along the way. Click the link in this episode. I'm
going to pre-put it out there. I think Timmy Scalafini is going to be way too nice in this one. That's all I'm going to say.
Timmy's a nice guy. It is what it is.
Yeah, too nice. Too nice.
All right. Click the link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. Be on the lookout for a midweek away end to preview the Tulsa match as well. I've been your host, Matt, for my good friend Ryan. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you next time. And as always, robots out and up the tide.
Up the tide, friends.